What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Lesser Athletes. My name is Chadwell, and today, like always, an interesting video for you here on the channel. Today is a fun suggested video. Now, I'm going to say half suggested because I kind of changed a lot about the video, but I got an idea from that idea, so I'm still going to call it suggested. But shout out K the Crusher, like always, commenting, giving me video requests. Can you go over past WrestleMania matches that you watched that you think had the wrong winner? Any WrestleMania matches from WrestleMania 41 to any Manias you've watched? So I think I might still do this, but here's the thing is that there's a lot of WrestleManias that I feel like had wrong winners, but had a good ending or good choice. For example, don't think John Cena should have probably won, but it was the needed solution for WrestleMania 41. I just believe that there is some wrong winners on PLEs that made no sense, especially when we can see in the future for a lot of them. I looked at the most recent PLEs. I might continue in this series and look past it, but I went from WrestleMania 39 to now because WrestleMania 39, when I first made this video, I was thinking WrestleManias that had horrible winners, and WrestleMania 39 sticks out like a sore thumb on one winner that I nonstop keep thinking about because it's the downfall of one of my favorites. Sorry for going absolutely so hard. But to be completely honest with you, I was going to go over WrestleManias, but then I'm like, okay, well, I would talk about, Brock, obviously, the one that I'm going to mention, some other small winners. And I was like, it's just a lot of like talking about the past. Why don't we talk about, the past PLEs in the last like year or two that I think we can talk about and actually have a validation on wrong winners and talk about that in that sense. I also have this in order of when it goes, but maybe in the future I'll probably do something with WrestleManias, because even like some past ones like WrestleMania 41 with the New Day, even I feel like knowing what they did, maybe they weren't the right winners and Ivar should have won and the War Raiders, but like still then I'm like, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because of probably New Day winning the titles at some point was really good for them. But yes, I'm yapping, but you get the point. So let's get started. We're starting off with WrestleMania 39. We're going from the latest to the earliest that we've had for these Mania decisions. Now you're going to notice a kind of string of decisions that I'm kind of like, okay, we're noticing like multiple PLEs in a row. Not as good. That's because WWE had a pretty good booking decision, which, WrestleMania 39, everyone's going to say Cody and Roman, whatever. Obviously, seeing WrestleMania 40, we know that was probably a good decision, whatever. WrestleMania 39, the absolute worst and the worst modern day pick was the Demon Finn Balor versus Edge. The Demon Finn Balor, it should have been undefeated, even when Roman Reigns beat him because of, I guess, God they thought of. Didn't make sense. It should be an undefeated gimmick, and I really do believe that. So for the Demon Finn Balor to lose a Hell in a Cell to Edge, who, by the way, would then leave the company, horrible decision. Even Edge says to this day that he didn't want this to happen. He actually was really hoping that Finn would win because it just made sense, and he didn't want to win, but Vince insisted. Or was it Vince or was it who? Oh, it might be Triple H. Why am I forgetting on who was the one that insisted? Someone insisted on this happening, and I swear Edge said Vince, but that doesn't make sense. I don't know. No matter what, one of the worst decisions. This honestly killed momentum for Finn Balor, and I think a lot of people can agree on that, where then you start looking at, the Money in the Banks matches he's had with Seth Rollins leading into, obviously, SummerSlam, leading into all these other matches. It just killed a lot of momentum for Finn Balor, where it's where he's at today. Especially now knowing how WWE should be. I don't like it, but it is like, okay, that's fair. Like for Karrion Kross leaving with Sami Zayn, that was a decision that I was going to say was really bad. Granted, we're still off that decision and we don't know the repercussions of that decision. But Karrion Kross, they knew in the back of their mind was going to leave. So it makes sense they let Sami Zayn win. Same thing should have happened here. So I have 6 here. I think I already mentioned that. This is the second one. Now, back to my point that I was saying earlier that I kind of went off a tangent on another thing and then didn't even go back to it. There is going to be a string of booking decisions that obviously weren't as good. Now, obviously, you're seeing that it went from WrestleMania 39 all the way to Clash of the Castle 2024. There was no bad decisions. Probably not that sense, but really, it all like I was thinking of saying like Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso with the tag titles, but honestly, that helped momentum for Cody Rhodes. So like, to be completely honest with you, really good booking decisions all the way up till I would say post WrestleMania 40, which that was a lot of people's problems was post WrestleMania 40 till even now. So you're going to see some decisions that me personally don't really like. Starting off with Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable. Now, to be completely honest with you, I understand why they didn't. Like every single decision that I'm going to talk about, I understand why they didn't on the other half, other than the Finn Balor one. That's horrible. That one just stinks. But this one I understand with Sami Zayn and Chad Gable. I'm sorry, Cody Rhodes. Because obviously Sami Zayn, they consider a main eventer. Chad Gable was just getting pushed. Doesn't make too much sense. They wanted, I think, the end goal to be Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker and then Braun Breaker to win the title. I get it. But knowing what we know now in the future of this, Sami Zayn losing, I think it was a trilogy of matches. Because he lost Clash of the Castle. He technically lost he lost the first one, turned heel. He lost King and Queen of the Ring. I was almost saying the other one that's usually called Night of Champions. And then lost this. It was bad. And this was him developing into a new character. And the way that you could have kept his character relevant and really get pushed was giving him a title to hold on to, a singles title to hold on to. Guess what you did? Just killed his character. Since then, he went against the Wyatt Six. Then there was nothing after that. And he's been out really with injury recently. And Chad Gable looks like a mere shell of what he was back in the day in prime 2024. I just realized I said there's nothing else after that. He turned into El Grande Americano. I just realized, my God. They could have even had, in my opinion, Chad Gable win the title, then lose to Braun Breaker at SummerSlam. If that was your point, to lose to Chad Gable. At least Chad Gable had a title and something that he could have still gone crazy, but I guess you want maybe the babyface with a heel Braun Breaker. Doesn't even matter. I don't care. Still just gets me mad. Next one is the men's Money in the Bank match. You should have seen my reaction. I bet it's still on the channel somewhere. My reaction to Drew McIntyre winning this Money in the Bank, what's it called? Briefcase. Because my God, was I pissed. Drew McIntyre, to me, I totally understand why it was to further a storyline with CM Punk. You didn't need it. There was already hate there. There was already stuff going on there. And to be honest with you, seeing how everything went down in the past couple of, times with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, you didn't need to burn the Money in the Bank. You know what you do instead? CM Punk grabs his leg, pushes him down, and hurts him, and gets him pissed off even more that he almost won the briefcase, but then they couldn't do it because CM Punk interrupted him. That's all you had to do at Money in the Bank. All you had to do. Instead, he cashes in, and then you have CM Punk go psycho. Now, it was a great moment. I get it. It made a fun main event. And ultimately, Seth Rollins didn't get pinned. I hate it. I think the reason why I hate it is because what I think I would have done, which I guess I could go on and say what I would have done instead, because if I'm saying there's a wrong winner, then what's the right winner? LA Knight. I know you're probably thinking U.S. title with Logan Paul. That's fine. Jey Uso with the Money in the Bank maybe would have actually helped his character than people turning on him because you gave him a random Royal Rumble win when they were so destined that was going to be John Cena. Maybe a Money in the Bank would have been nice. I'm trying to remember who else was in the match. Was Carmelo Hayes? No. Yes. Toronto? Was this in Toronto? Yes. Yes, because it was announced. No? Yes, because it was announcement of the retirement tour. Carmelo Hayes would have been an absolutely crazy one. Could have done something like that. I think there was just way bigger. Chad Gable would have been the perfect Money in the Bank. There's so many other winners that you could have gone, and I really do mean this. Money in the Bank is one of my favorite things and favorite just items that they have and ideas they have in WWE. It hurt. It hurt to see this go. Fast forward, we're going to Crown Jewel 2024. Now, I just think that there is validation to the reason of Cody Rhodes winning. Obviously, it's your breadwinner of the group, and I think when you're in Saudi, you're thinking of the moolah a little bit more. So Cody Rhodes winning and being the first ever Crown Jewel champion, understandable. But At this time, and you have to kind of go back in time, at this time, the world champion, and honestly still to this day, even though in my opinion, no, it still is, because I think of like Sami Zayn can't win the undisputed title. I'd rather he makes sense winning the world heavyweight title. The world heavyweight title needs to feel like a title that's up there with the undisputed championship. It doesn't. It simply does not, because Cody Rhodes goes after that championship. Roman Reigns had that championship. You needed Gunther, in my opinion, to win, and that title reign after that shows why. Gunther beating Cody Rhodes would have solidified that the champion of here needs to be truthfully looked at and looked stronger than the champion over here. And we all know probably in our head still that the undisputed title is the bigger champion. You probably didn't want Cody Rhodes pin. I understand that. But Gunther had to win, and it really killed his title reign. I mean, he had Finn Balor and Damian Priest after that. Went through those two, but never looked like himself. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what his next thing. It was Damian Priest. And then after that, to be honest with you, the Jey Uso Saturday Night's main event win, okay, decent. And then the Royal Rumble, and yep. I really do believe that Cody Rhodes and Gunther it's not as terrible as others, but it still sucks. This one, I think, is right then and there. You can debate on it. Shinsuke Nakamura, when he came back, I think everyone, when he won, I was kind of excited for it. I was in absolute shock that he won. But I was kind of excited for it because, honestly, Shinsuke Nakamura winning the U.S. title felt new, felt different. It felt exciting, and honestly, we all thought LA Knight probably won the title back, but it was something nice. But here's the thing. When you go check his matches and who he defended the title against, it's Shinsuke Nakamura win. LA Knight wins by DQ because Shinsuke DQ'd. And then you have Shinsuke losing the title to LA Knight. Now, I don't think that this was necessarily a bad thing to happen, but love you, Shinsuke. I don't think you needed this title reign, and if you only be honest, I think it would have made the Jacob Fatu win for the U.S. title, even though it was still good, I think it would have made it a little bit better if LA Knight would have held that title from SummerSlam all the way to Mania, and Jacob Fatu immediately wins that title. Because if you don't consider that, LA Knight basically won the U.S. title, defended it against Braun Strowman, and then he lost the title to Jacob Fatu. And that's it for that title reign, and it felt like a big transitional champion. Well, imagine someone actually dethroning someone for a 200-plus day reign. You could have had that with LA Knight. Granted, he's a two-time winner. I like the title moving around more, but it would have felt maybe a little bit stronger for Jacob Fatu. I don't think this was just a necessary win, and I think you could have had someone else in here. Shinsuke Nakamura, now looking back, should not have won this in my opinion, and you could have made LA Knight look like he had a stronger reign. And my last one, my last two, I did say before, not as big ones, but Charlotte Flair winning the women's match on Royal Rumble, to me, was the wrong winner. I think Charlotte Flair is great. I think she still should have won against Tiffany Stratton. I just think she should have won the Chamber, and there's two reasons that I have pretty much why. First off, not on Charlotte Flair's fault, WWE thought she would come back as a babyface, and they really thought a Charlotte Flair would come back as a babyface to go against Tiffany Stratton, who was one of the most over on the roster. I don't think that was ever a possibility that was going to happen. So obviously, her winning the Royal Rumble and then coming back trying to be a babyface was not going to work. What they could have done was she goes to the Royal Rumble, she barely loses, and then she talks on SmackDown. You kind of get the feel of, okay, how's the crowd feeling her? And then from there, you go to Elimination Chamber, and that's when she wins to go against Tiffy. And she could really feel like a heel with a little bit more built in the backbone, because at first it was just Charlotte Flair going to, brand to brand, kind of testing the waters, which made no sense. My second thing too is that Charlotte Flair is such a great women's champion, and honestly could be considered the greatest of all time for the women's side of wrestling, that did you really need her out of all people to win 2 times for the Royal Rumble? I don't think so. I think what you do is you have Bianca win the Royal Rumble, because I think it's a big thing for her legacy. You're building another superstar if you have a 2-time winner in Bianca Belair. You have Bianca win, and then what happens is Io and Rhea still have that match like they were going to. Bianca's watching, and they still continue that, and Bianca chooses to go after, obviously, the winner of that match. And then you have the triple threat still, and it still works out well with the Royal Rumble. But to be completely honest with you, I can understand why you went the route you did with Flair, because, oh, let's make her the greatest of all time. I just think a Bianca winning, and granted, she had the tag titles at the time. Maybe a storyline they could have done was Jade and them losing to Liv. And I don't know. It's a little peculiar how they could have gone against it, but I mean, they could have booked it before them losing, whatever. But I would have rather not Flair win, because I think it was like a not needed, and you could have tested the water to see how she would have gone when she came back. My biggest gripe on this is that WWE thought she was going to be a babyface coming back, and that is just simply not true. And if your plan was for that, then you build her as a babyface, and then she can win, and then you build Tiffany as a heel. Cool. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know anything down in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.